The whole time you couldn't hear because I didn't have my microphone on. That's really funny. Well, thank you for being here, Susan, to remind me of that. That's why I did check in the comments. So, taking it from the top, do you remember when it was maybe in the 70s? It's 8 p.m. Do you know do you know what your children are watching or do you know where your children are? I just remember it being at like 8 p.m. when I was a kid and it was kind of ominous. But it is 7/21/21, Detroit, Michigan, FEMA Region 5. This is BJ Hammerstein. And just a moment ago, I was talking without you being able to hear me. And let me just show you again. I, I also, what I also said when I was struggling without my volume on, without hitting the green dot here to turn on the microphone, is that this is a test. Last you saw of me was Monday night when we were doing a live stream test, and everything was going great. And then it just completely died. Well, actually, not everything was going great. It started out slow, just like it seems to be doing right now. My speeds are 227, 737. This was, you could hear me now, can't you, Susan? Right? Susan? You should be able to hear me now. I would be very upset if you still can't read my lips. I'm saying that because Susan just said, "Dang, wish I could read lips." I really hope that you could hear me right now. So going back to what I was trying to say here is we're having some serious. Oh, I have to go to this thing. We're having some serious internet issues. So the stream will kind of keep short. Friday, Comcast Xfinity is going to be here in the morning. I have a scheduled appointment. This was following the Monday stream. And this is a real bummer that this is happening. I really thought I was completely set up that these things would not be happening. And also, I am still learning everything here. So my eyeballs are all over the place. You can hear, Susan. I'm taking that yay as you can hear. And so we're in business, at least partial business. So we're going to start off. I was going to play this video instead of talking. Um, Ron Armstrong from Stand Up Michigan. Let's listen to him a second here. This is from earlier today, just a few hours ago.
I just want to put some things in perspective for all of us. But today is a day of celebration as it is finished. The 1945 law will never again be used by any legislative leader to unilaterally control we the people. And that is only because of we the people, not because of the legislature, who did, by the way, vote in legislation to repeal this law, and it was vetoed by the governor. So we were looking at a minimum of 2023 until she could have had the ability to have had executive orders all she wanted, like we had in 2020. And that can never happen again to the citizens of the state of Michigan. So I just wanted to tell you all, I don't know how many of you out there participated by signing. Obviously, over 500,000 of you, and 40,000 of you also participated in circulating that petition. We got an announcement from Unlock. I want to read it because they're the campaign. They provided, obviously, everything from the language, the legal side, the printing of the petitions, the mailing, the counting of the ballots, and all the staff that did that. We just represented you, the people who did the work behind the scenes and promoted it, obviously, and helped get it done. But yeah, you need to keep congratulating each other out there. Let us know if you participated in it as you join. I want to make sure we've got thousands of comments on here and thousands of thumbs up and actions and reactions. Be able to share with all of those as more people watch this as they get home from work today. Unlock Michigan says, you did it just minutes ago. The House of Representatives voted to stand with you to repeal the law of 1945 that gave Michigan governor endless power and control of your lives. By a vote of 60 to 48 today, including, are you ready for this? It's shocking. The votes of 4 Democratic representatives who voted in favor of repealing this law.
All right, I just wanted to get all their comments in right at the beginning. I haven't watched the full video. I'll leave the links in shoot. Where is the story? Oh, it's got to be here. Here it is. So this is the regular story. But I will leave the link with the show notes. This happened today in Michigan from the Detroit Free Press. A 76-year-old Michigan law crafted in the wake of the Detroit race riots and used more recently to combat a generational health crisis is officially dead. The Republican-controlled State House on Wednesday voted 60 to 48, largely along party lines, in support of initiative petition language that repeals the Emergency Powers Act of 1945. Governor Whitmer used the law to issue sweeping health and safety restrictions in the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic, moves that eventually garnered pushback from Republicans and other opponents. We'll get more into that later. Organizers of the petition drive, a group called Unlock Michigan, heralded Wednesday's vote and promised additional campaigns. Our Unlock Michigan Citizen Army collected over 540,000 signatures in just 80 days. Now, 292 days later, we'll complete our mission with a final vote in the legislature to end Governor Whitmer's rule by decree, said Fred Wizelek, a spokesman for the Unlock Michigan petition drive. Next, we'll turn our attention to the public health law, Whitmer abuse to destroy lives, businesses, and futures. Don't bet against our success there either. Oof. My reading glasses get me nauseous sometimes, I have to admit. So that is a bit of good news today out of Michigan. Let's take a look at, I want to go to the comments section. The 1945 law is repealed, or the petition to repeal the law is approved and has to go on the ballot in 2022 for the people to vote. I think it's really done. What Ron Armstrong was saying from Stand Up Michigan, he said that 1945 law is finished. It is over. That's what he first said at the very beginning of the video. So I'm saying that they now have to kind of work together as a legislature moving forward on that. We'll probably explore that a little bit deeper. All of these stories we're kind of touching on, and then we're probably going to deep dive into it as we get a little bit further along. I want to go back to the default scene. Oh, we want to promote this a second here. Well, I guess I don't want to be back on the default scene. Not yet. This is Saturday for Patriots in Michigan. There's a lot happening this weekend. Do I have the right glasses? Decision Day. Oh, what does this look like here? If I click it, anything happen? Decision Day. Come hear the evidence. Saturday, July 24th. Deltaplex Arena. With Patrick Byrne, producer of the Deep Rig film, and special guests to be announced. Additional speakers: Ann Vandersteel, Steve Deese, Dr. Dave Janda, Dave Agama, Christina Carvo. I would have ruined everybody's name. Matt DePerno, Patrick Kolbeck, Pastor Bart Spencer, Melissa Carone, Joseph Flynn, Seth Keschel, and Justin Barclay. I think the tickets are $20 a ticket. Saturday at noon. Let me see if... Oops. There is a different rally. Worldwide Freedom Rally. Michigan Lansing, July 24th, 1 to 3 p.m. on Telegram Worldwide Michigan. Uh-oh. And then there's also this one. Healthcare workers against Trinity Healthcare vaccine mandates. Stand with us Saturday, July 24th, 10:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. That's Michigan for vaccine choice. Come alongside our healthcare heroes. So I wanted to do some of that real fast. I wanted to show you guys that there's a lot happening this weekend. And then I'll share a silly story. about, we'll go to the comments for this part a second here. I'm kind of cleaning up as I go. I trimmed off different pieces of the show. Remember the stream quality, when I was reviewing the stream from Monday, it looked different to me. Like, it's not as good quality. Obviously, there was like weird cuts in it. I do, as I'm growing this and working on this, I'm meeting with people, talking to people. Please email me tips, links. Nothing is carved into stone. I'm practicing and trying to work on all this stuff here. And so tonight I was going to go. We need a health freedom petition for sure, says Susan. I agree, definitely. Tonight I was going to go after the show out to a local bar where somebody I met with yesterday actually is DJing, and kind of like-minded people wanted to go. You guys know that I am on a bike, and yesterday I was out, and it was rainy yesterday, right? Do you remember? Did it rain where you are in Michigan? I guess other people are not in Michigan, so that's good. But no problem getting home. I was racing along. When I got to the place, no problem. It didn't really rain on me on the way home. But this morning I went out to ride some errands. Not really run some errands, ride some errands. And my back brakes weren't working. And so I rode slowly and made one errand. But now I'm not going to ride out in the night into Detroit with a bad bike. So I'm sorry I'm not going out tonight, everybody. And yes, it's bike problems. They're real. So let's. They should have. Here, we'll drop this comment right here. They should have fought this when the swine flu jab became mandated in 2010 for healthcare workers. We're not. It's beautiful here where you are. You're on the west side. Isn't that right, Susan? Um, Today does seem like a beautiful night. I've been inside for the last few hours working on the show. So let's kind of keep up with that here. So Whitmer, the House repeals emergency powers law Governor Whitmer used to fight pandemic. Let's say that's off the books from 1945. They're still doing work on it though. It's not over, but she can't use it anymore. Is how I'm understanding it at the moment. These are some other just sort of random larger stories. This kind of connects to the rallies. This is kind of a funny story from hillreporter.com. I saw this on Bannon's War Room earlier today. Mike Lindell offers $5 million to any cyber guy who proves his voter fraud data invalid. Here's the catch. So this is kind of like a little itty bitty hit piece. Mike Lindell says that if you are a cyber guy and you show up to his upcoming symposium, that's like I think August 5th through 8th, where he plans to reveal real proof that there was widespread. I can't say that, you know that. If you're suffering deja vu right now, don't worry, it's not you. He's done this a few times now. And you look at his data and prove that it's not valid and doesn't actually show that stuff, he'll give you $5 million. However, the page on his website outlining the details shows the catch. Below, we see a video in which Lindell appears on the War Room podcast and says there that he's offering a $5 million to any cyber guy who shows up at his symposium and demonstrates that the data doesn't actually prove Trump won. He says that there are details still to be hammered out, but that a page at Spring Speech has the current information on the offer. Mike Lindell is now offering $5 million to any cyber guys who can prove the election. How he's been selling it, obviously he's been doing the rounds and trying to get anybody and everybody to go. He's like has blanket invites. It's funny that Mr. Pillow, I just said blanket invites to media, like working media, not me, like independent journalists that has no audience or no brand affiliation or anything like that. He wants, I mean, he would probably take people from Detroit Free Press and the Detroit News there if they showed interest, considering Wayne County is probably going to be featured. But so, what this journalist, he's just wanted to make fun of Mike Lindell, and I guess he's an easy target to make fun of. But when he was out there in the Rose Garden at the very beginning, I'm pretty sure it was because it was the pandemic, and he converted his company into PPE mask making sort of manufacturing plant. I thought people like that stuff. It's all so strange to me. This whole everything that we're going through right now is people that you cheer for, you realize they're really horrible. People that you thought are horrible are maybe not so bad. Maybe they're all bad. We don't really know. The story's still going on. I don't know. Of course, there's a catch. After all, Lindell hasn't yet produced any evidence of election fraud. I can't say that word, despite repeated promises to do so. If the information he plans to reveal as evidence next month is on the same level, anyone with a little knowledge of technology and voting information could score an easy 5 million. So what's the catch? The symposium isn't open to the public. That's right. The image below is the flyer posted on Frank's speech. He's never, he always says that it's not open to the public. But if you're a legitimate journalist or a legitimate investigator into, these cyber sort of crimes, if you will, I bet you could get in here. So I don't know. That guy's trying to just, Oh, here. You may also notice the second catch, the shifted goalpost. On this flyer, Lindell isn't offering the reward for, as implied, proving that the data doesn't show election fraud, but for proving that whatever data he approves is not valid from the 2020 election, which isn't the same thing at all. I don't know. Maybe they just kind of made a mistake with the writing. It's hard to say, really. I do want to point out this quick story. Oh, this looks funky, though, on this page right now. Huh. I wonder if this has to do with the low streaming quality stuff. Well, we'll come back to that one on Friday. I did want to point out from the Detroit News, this is making the rounds a little bit in Detroit. White boy Rick Wershey, was an FBI informant at 14. Now he's suing feds, Detroit police for child abuse. I believe it's $100 million, and I just want to. Oh shoot! Now this is not even working. Come on. Hold on here a second. Sorry about that. Here's a couple quotes or pieces from the story I wanted to highlight and read. And we'll do that like this. In the lawsuit, Wershey candidly recounted his time as a teenage informant who was allegedly first approached by FBI agents when he was 14. According to Wershey and his attorneys, the Detroit teen regularly met with FBI agents and Detroit police officers to give information on Detroit's burgeoning drug gangs. Had I not been an informant for the task force, I would never have gotten involved with drug gangs, or criminality of any sort, Wershey claims in the suit. He maintains he did not come up with the moniker White Boy Rick, but rather it was the media that gave him the description. Wershey said Tuesday he was used by the FBI agents and the Detroit police officers for information about drug gangs and left to serve out a long prison sentence for a 1988 drug conviction, even when they had promised that they would help him out since he cooperated with them for information. The justice system hasn't been fair to me, Wershey said Tuesday. This needed to be known. The truth needed to be told. I know that the justice system is very unfair. In Michigan, there's local judges that own JAMS, the Jail Alternative for Michigan Services. When you have judges that are profiting off of people, keeping things secret, and then other elements of the government that are in on it, it's a wrap, man. Wershey said Tuesday he will embrace the White Boy Rick name and use it as a platform to do good in the community through his longtime food giveaway programs and help others by working toward prison reform. The lawsuit alleges that Rushy's time as an informant began when he was first approached by the FBI after his father contacted the agency because his daughter started dating a drug dealer. Rushy Jr. became a target of local criminals in his neighborhood. I can't see you because of this. Yeah, we'll go like this right now. I guess you know that I'm live. Rushy Jr. became a target of local criminals in his neighborhoods when there was likely suspicion raised among them that the teen was an informant, according to the lawsuit. What I'm getting at here is that the FBI is having a really terrible, terrible run right now with these Michigan stories. And I was saying this before. It's all over here. One more little. They're flushing out. This is Buzzfeed news. This is really big because it's Buzzfeed, and I'm going to leave the links in the show notes. We'll kind of just scroll through this real quick. I have a couple slides that I'll read to you. But when the FBI is working with 14-year-olds and the FBI has, 14 informants for a group of, 14 people or whatever it might be. When the FBI's got their hands and fingerprints all over everything, it's you have to start to ask. Director Ray, Michigan. There's really something wrong with my mouse here too today. How is this possible? Production problems I'm having with the mouse. Oh, that's why I was reading it. Sorry about that, guys. Again, this is testing out things. So I have two monitors, and I thought my mouse was here, but really my mouse was here. So now I can see it better. This is from the Buzzfeed article, Watching the Watchmen. Just over 3 weeks later, federal and state agents swooped in and arrested more than a dozen men accused of participating in what a federal prosecutor called a deeply disturbing criminal conspiracy hatched over months in secret meetings, on encrypted chats, and in the paramilitary-style training exercises. 7 of the men who had driven to Birch Lake that night would end up in jail. This case made international headlines, with the Justice Department touting it as an example of law enforcement agencies working together to make sure violent extremists never succeed with their plans. Prosecutors alleged that kidnapping the governor was just the first step in what some on the right call the Big Boog, a long-awaited civil war that would overthrow the government and return the United States to some supposed Revolutionary War era ideal. The defendants, for their part, see it very differently. They say they were set up. Let's see what this other slide says. The government has documented at least 12 confidential informants who had assisted the sprawling investigation. The trove of evidence they helped gather provides an unprecedented view into the American extremism, laying out in often stunning details the ways that anti-government groups network with each other, and in some cases, I can't quite see. Maybe I'll just move it like this. In case discuss violent actions. An examination of the case by BuzzFeed News also reveals that some of those informants acting under the direction of the FBI played a far larger role than has previously been reported. And this is what we need to really understand with Michigan, with January 6th, with a lot of incidents where the FBI has been involved. Working in secret, they did more than just passively observe and report on the actions of the suspects. Instead, they had a hand in nearly every aspect of the alleged plot, starting with its inception. The extent of their involvement raises questions as to whether there would have been a conspiracy without them. It is enraging. Shadows, so I could tell when I look at the screen that this live stream, I'm glad Comcast is coming out here on Friday, because this is not working out for me at all. Shadow is on her little bed by the window. She has a few spots. She has lots of window spots in my little apartment. But we don't want her really. Actually, I try to get her. I'm talking quietly. I don't want her to hear us. She's kind of moving around as she's laying around. But when I do the show, I kind of want her far away from me because then it gets really tricky. Supposedly 500 are still in custody in DC. Anyone confirm that? There, I think there still might be that. And I'm starting to think that maybe next week I'm going to do like a video, not a live show, but a video show and try to put together as much information as I could sort of find that's up to date on this, put together this FBI Michigan puzzle. I haven't looked super deeply into it as it was happening because I knew it was kind of phony baloney because it's the FBI. Shadow could get my wild moose. She could get your wild moose in my hair. It's coconut oil. Where is? I did want to. Where is one more big story I wanted, and I can't seem to find it here. Let me. We'll find it this way. Gretchen Whitmer. Oh, I did have it set up somewhere. Gretchen Whitmer. One second, guys. She is. Jeez. Aw, man. Oh, this is I still had it up here the whole time. Oh, mouse. She could get your wild mouse. That's really that's funny. I read it like that. The paid informants got immediate release. I mean, isn't it entrapment? The whole case is like completely blown. There's we live in a very strange time. Let's just call it like that right now. I want to go to my default scene. That's strange. I don't want that. We want that. So Governor Whitmer here, we're going to go to this Free Press story, has raised $10 million for re-election campaign after record fundraising. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer will report next week that she has more than $10 million in cash in her campaign fund following a record-setting fundraising stretch, her campaign said Tuesday. The Whitmer campaign previewed her fundraising numbers as former Detroit Police Chief James Craig is expected to officially announce his Republican candidacy for governor as early as Wednesday. And Chief Craig is getting in the Detroit channels. I watched WXYZ Channel 7. That's interesting. They'll definitely use all the Patriot Act stuff. And they're just, pushing through Patriot Act 2, which they spy all day long. They're crushing my live stream. All these things, right? So Chief Craig got kind of hammered by the local media. He has announced an exploratory campaign, and that sort of got some of this response going. The Whitmer campaign previewed her fundraising numbers as According to the campaign, Whitmer, a Democrat from East Lansing, is in the latest campaign finance period has raised more than $8.5 million since January, which is more than any Michigan gubernatorial candidate has raised in an off-election year. There's no doubt about that, and I hope we get to see some of those people or those corporations, probably those healthcare corporations, and all the friends of the pandemic, because they want to keep this thing going probably. Oh, here we gotta definitely drop this, and this would be accurate, I would say, from Susan. What a friggin' time to be alive, right? And even with shoddy streaming and rough, talking broadcast style, it still helps. Sharing information, trying to get people together, trying to make a little bit of a difference. I don't know what the difference is. I don't know exactly what the fight is, except I know I need to be doing this type of stuff. So I'm going to. Gosh darn it. With more than a year to go before the 2022 election, Whitmer has raised more than 14 million in total, half a million more than she raised in the entire 2000 election cycle. The Free Press story says she has 10.5 million cash, 14 million total, and then her election said it was 8.5 million raised in this cycle. Big money behind Guilty Gretch. Donations came from more than 25,000 contributors representing every county in the state, and with the most of the donations coming from inside Michigan. Well, okay. Let me see if I could find. I wanted to find this. So today, Garrett, and I don't know much about Garrett. I do follow him on Facebook. He's very enthusiastic in everything I see. So as we move forward, we're definitely going to be really trying to look at the candidates here. Garrett said this was today. Over 600,000. Let's drop this here. So Garrett, we the people just made a statement to the party bosses and the left. That we are in this to win it. Of the 10,000 contributions, 97% came from Michigan and 94% were under $200. Next on the docket is the ballot petition to get the 15,000. We are going for 30,000 signatures to get me on the ballot. If you'd like to circulate the petition, go here and check mark the box. Become a Team Garrett County captain. So he's raised 600,000 in 83 days. It's going to be big money, as Susan just said. It's going to take a lot of money to beat out the Democratic machine. And Guilty Gretch is number 2 with the Democratic Party. They have unlimited resources. Did Patrick run in 2016, Susan? Is that when he ran? I did not pay much attention to 2016, 2018 elections. I just thought the system was relative. Well, I was helping with a school for a little while. I think I mentioned that. And then I was relatively, everything was everything shot. Dominion over, what is this? Over, yeah, that's good stuff right there. Oh, look at this. They changed, I wanted to find a specific, hold on a second. Well, let's read this quote. Governor Gretchen Whitmer has led Michigan through the greatest public health crisis in a century, and this report is a testament to the enormous trust people have in her ability to put Michigan first and continue leading our state forward, creating jobs and getting our economy moving again, said Mark Fisk, a spokesman for the Whitmer for Governor campaign. It was he replaced, I want to show you the other person. So in between Real Detroit Weekly and the Detroit Free Press, I worked for the Democratic Party in Lansing for the state house. I was a writer for a bunch of state reps, the House reps. And on Wednesday nights, it was Reps Gone Wild. They went to the bar in Lansing, Omar's. Is that what it's? The strip bar in Lansing's Omar's, and then there was another bar next to it. And it's pretty funny. This is what I was looking for. Maybe I was on the wrong maybe the free press didn't change. Uh, but I was hired by two people to work for the State House, Lavora Barnes and Mark Fisk, and they are running basically the governor's campaign and all the communications for the top of the Democratic Party, along with a few other communications wizards. James Craig is just another politician that thinks he can get through this messy and crowded GOP field of far right extremists without any accountability on his stances. Clinging to this non existent exploratory status is just the latest of his question dodging tactics, said Michigan Democratic Party Chair Lavora Barnes in a statement. I really enjoyed working for Lavora specifically. Mark ended up leaving the state and then started his own Fisk Byram Communications, which is with other people from the state. It's it's pretty pretty wild, all this stuff, I'll tell you. So I think maybe we'll take a quick look at some headlines if there's anything more. And we're going to end it. We got the comments up there. So the stream is slow. The quality of the computers goes bad when... Actually, I shouldn't say the computer. The stream. So tomorrow's Thursday. I'm not going to do anything Thursday. I'm going to try to go live Friday night. And I hope everything will be straight because Xfinity Comcast would have been here already. And this issue should be worked out. Otherwise, I don't know. We're going to have to, maybe invest more money. Oh, I like what you're writing here, Susan. Ooh. Yes, this guy, Shuett, was horrible. He, he lacked like any way to sort of connect to people in any real way. I don't think he was necessarily completely horrible with I mean, I don't know. I can't defend any of these people, especially because he was with Snyder, and Snyder in 2014. I was going hard after the Snyder administration on the Jams judges, and Lieutenant Governor Brian Calley was aware of me back then, and so I kind of all of them. They're all like this one. Look at this one. Oh, you can't see what I'm showing you here, huh? Boop. Let's go back to the comment stuff for one more second. Last comment here. Whitmer. Oh, shoot. I didn't mean to do that. Whitmer created the greatest crisis. I would show you my early Twitter from March and April. There was a few of us. Twitter was so great. I'm so upset I'm not on Twitter anymore. Not that I would want to be on Twitter. There's no reason to really want to be on Twitter. But when you're doing this kind of communications and you want to stay in the fight, Twitter is the front lines, really. And, when I was first making videos, I was always sharing at the end of my videos Twitter posts and Twitter memes. Republicans abandon Capitol riot probe after Pelosi rejects Jordan Banks. The top Republicans in the U.S. House of Representatives on Wednesday withdrew his 5 nominees to serve on the special committee probing after the Democratic House Speaker rejected the 2 of them. That's going to be another story that plays out more tomorrow and the next day. What I love about the pandemic universe in the journalism news world is that the stories, they're not really, there's some stories that break, but because the mainstream never really covers all this action, there's really, it unfolds, and it unfolds really slowly because it's like they deny, no way, then they, attack, and then they're like, oh yeah, I guess that happened. What a Gateway Pundit, it's always fun. Oh, did this happen? This is all we need to look at today. Now, I mean, do you remember? Well, I'm not going to get into all of this. Go woke, go broke. U.S. women's national soccer team gets skunked and 3-0 lost to Sweden in Olympic opening devastated blow. Oh, we have to go back, maybe. Because that picture was so great. Oh, she doesn't look too happy. This is in Cincinnati. The supporters are coming out. Biden Homeland Security announces travel restrictions for Americans at border due to COVID variant, but southern border will remain open till illegals. What? What in the world, Susan? Do you hear this? Biden Homeland Security announces travel restrictions for Americans at border due to COVID variant, but southern border will remain open to illegals. I really don't think that there's anything more we could even think about or talk about today. As the on the Friday show, we are going to talk about these things a little bit. The one word I really haven't talked much about the medical stuff since I've been back over these last couple weeks, but that's gonna have to end too. All right, I'm gonna end it. I went long, the stream probably whatever, but I really appreciate all of you being here, and I want to. There's one more thing, even though. Thank you so much for being here. I guess I'm just gonna let you go right now as I'm struggling. But please subscribe if you made it this far. I am looking to build all this. Send me information, bjhammerstein at protonmail.com. I'm going to get the links into the show notes now. There has been people watching the videos after the live recording, so I'm going to keep them up. But these live shows, I'm going to delete them this weekend probably and start with a new batch next week, especially because the streaming quality is no good. Thanks. Bye-bye. Friday night.